Well, I got myself 2 new albums for my birthday. I got Pink Floyd, Wish You Were Here, and I got Dark Side of the Moon. I just opened them up from the shipping box, and now I'm going to open up the records. And
greetings, everyone. Thanks for joining me for voting video number 216. It's been over a week. I've been waiting for something that I felt like making a video on. I could make tons of videos, but I just hesitate making them on things that we've all heard of already. So this one here was new for me, and I had it as a comment here on my video I put together of the water light show in Peru. It says, "Hey, just wanted to see if you all have noticed one I just noticed. Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon is now the Dark Side of the Moon, and it isn't right. It just isn't sitting right with me. First they take away the thes, and now they're sticking them where they don't belong." So I totally agree, Max Silver pointing that out. One of my most popular videos in the last few months was a video where I talk about the Eagles have always been Eagles, and the Goo Goo Dolls have always been just Goo Goo Dolls. All these different groups. The Bee Gees have always been just Bee Gees. And so on. I listed like 7. The Sex Pistols have always been just Sex Pistols. And the Dave Matthews Band has always just been Matthews Band. Matthews, yeah. It's always just been Dave Matthews Band. Never the. So anyway, I remember all these bands having the as part of the name, like the Doors or the Beatles, which is part of the name, always part of the name. But so anyway, I had a lot of comments on this saying, well, people just say the because it would sound weird to say, well, I just went and saw Sex Pistols. So you say I went and saw the Sex Pistols. Okay, all right. So how about Dark Side of the Moon? Why are people leaving out the in this case as the name of the album? It's always been The Dark Side of the Moon since February 1973. Well, why leave it out? Why did this 1980 newspaper here leave it out? Well, this person who put this together remembers Dark Side of the Moon. And we can go through the images here. If you Google images, you'll see that it's Pink Floyd. The Dark Side of the Moon is what it's always been in this reality. I guess one history has always been the Dark Side of the Moon. I remember a history where it was just Dark Side of the Moon. I have 3 Pink Floyd albums. I believe I bought this one around 1992. It's my favorite Pink Floyd album. I used to put this on just to let it play for like 42 minutes, I think it is. Every song on it is good. It's just incredible. It's one of the greatest albums of all time. It's one of the most popular. It put this band, it made them one of the best bands ever. I mean, this is an incredible record. I'm sure many of you know of it. I'm sure there'll be some of you who don't, but always Dark Side of the Moon for me. So this is a huge Mandela effect for me personally. And I have some other stuff for you here, so hold on, don't go anywhere yet. Thumb this video up if you remember Dark Side of the Moon. Go ahead and thumb it down if it's always been the Dark Side of the Moon for you.
The triangle is a sign for ambition, so it's a kind of symbol. And I think that tied in with some lyrics that Roger was writing, and this in itself.
All right, well, let's see. I had some here we go. I had this set up for you here.
73, an album that wasn't afraid to explore life and death and everything in between exploded onto the scene. Dark Side of the Moon became a huge hit on Earth, staying in the charts for almost 15 years. And
that's right. Incredible album. And let's jump forward to right here.
This inspired Waters to pen all the lyrics for Dark Side of the Moon.
I think one of the successes of Dark Side is the fact that actually it's very rich. There's a lot of ideas all compressed onto the one record.
It's clever, complex, and groundbreaking, and it touched a chord with many people because it also had that magic ingredient, soul.
I think Dark Side of the Moon was just a great all-around album.
So she just conveniently left out The Dark Side of the Moon, which is the name of the album, and always has been. So on my other video where people are saying, well, you know, people just put in the Goo Goo Dolls or the Eagles because you wouldn't just say, oh, I went to Eagles tonight. I went to the Eagles concert, not to Eagles concert. So I don't agree with that, though. All those bands, they always had the in the name. Well, this has always had the. Why don't these people put it in? So it's just, oh, they just conveniently leave it out, and the other people conveniently put the thes in for all those bands. Or it's just so confusing. The thes are just coming and going nowadays. Oh my gosh. Dark Side of the Moon, Pink Floyd. This is one of the world's most successful records and most iconic album covers. Of which I wanted to mention, on the album cover, we have some really interesting things here to point out. We have pyramids, which if you search Mandela Effect, it'll take you straight to the pyramids in Giza, where there's a bunch of Mandela Effects that I'm thinking of doing some videos on and I haven't done. You know, like with King Tut having more than just having a vulture also, along with the cobra, I believe it is, the snake. I just remember a snake. I don't remember a vulture. Two symbols on the headdress. And I remember 3 different sized pyramids. It seems like there's like 2 pyramids, like Giza, and the other one is like the same size now or something. There's a lot of weird things going on there. We have rainbows, which seems to be a theme with the Mandela Effect, with the rainbow trees, rainbow mountains, rainbow animals. I think I don't know. There's all these mandanimals. I haven't even touched that. I've been into this for 2 years. I haven't even touched. There's just so many. I figure, well, I don't know. I don't know all animals on the planet, so maybe I never saw those before. But I've seen some crazy stuff with the animals. Oh, rainbow clouds. I've twice now seen rainbow clouds. Never in my whole life till recently. We got Dark Side of the Moon. The moon. The 6-man moon landings. News to me. I mean, there's all this stuff. So the moon, pyramids, rainbows. So this all kind of goes, you know, there's a song on here, Time. Time seems to be, you know, we've been talking about time speeding up, or I have at least, for probably 6 years here on YouTube. There were some recent videos talked about time speeding up that I saw people were making. Basket of Cups was one channel, and Scott Harrison, I think Scott Harrison is the name of the channel, over across the pond. Well, really across the pond from right here. I have a treat coming, hopefully, if things work out. It's going to be a little bit different than what I normally do, but it should be really interesting. I think some of you will really enjoy what I'm hoping I can be able to put together. So, you know, we have other newspapers, 1973, April, the Dark Side of the Moon, Pink Floyd here. This is just what it always was. It was never the Dark Side of the Moon. That just doesn't sound right. Doesn't sound right at all. So we have in the studio, this is interesting, with some of the different band members. So let's check this out real quick, and then we'll wrap this up here. Once again, thumb up Dark Side of the Moon, thumb down the Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah. Hello, this is David Gilmour of Pink Floyd, with lots of snippets from Dark Side of the Moon in the studio.
It's an album that, appropriately enough, begins and ends with the sound of a heartbeat.
All right. David Gilmour talking about Dark Side of the Moon. Decided to leave out the.
And we toured it in England and Europe and America before we'd even recorded it. Definitely in '72, they were hearing virtually the whole of Dark Side of the Moon. Not much of it. 1 or 2 pieces got changed. The On the Run sequence was a guitar instrumental sort of piece originally.
So I'm sure some of you might be saying, "Oh well, he's just leaving out. No reason to say the. We all know what he's talking about, right?" Okay, yeah. I mean, I went through and searched tons of videos and so many people doing reviews on the album. Everyone conveniently leaves out the, just because that's not part of their memory. But for someone not experiencing the Mandela effect, they'll say, oh, well, we all know what they're talking about, so they don't need to say the, whatever. You always hear all these explanations, whatever, but it was always Dark Side of the Moon for me. There's lots of reality residue for this one.
Studio with Dark Side of the Moon. I'm Redbeard. Welcome back to In the Studio. After the final recording sessions for Dark Side of the Moon in January 1973, Roger Waters and David Gilmour brought in Chris Thomas, who had been the engineer on the Beatles' White Album, to provide some final touches.
We brought him in to help us mix Dark Side of the Moon, just for the mixing.
Oh, okay, cool. Just for the mixing of Dark Side of the Moon. Right. Always the Dark Side of the Moon. Okay. That's interesting. Let's see. And I'll leave you with this here. Boop.
Most popular rock group in the world.
The album went straight up to the top of the charts, and we had a hit single, and they were selling us like hotcakes, and we instantly went. I mean, we surpassed our entire record sale worldwide, total of all our albums put together in just a few months of Dark Side of the Moon.
Dark Side of the Moon. All right. So anyway, Dark Side of the Moon, Pink Floyd here in this 1974 newspaper, about 11 months after the album was released. So that's about it, everyone. I will talk to everyone soon. Hopefully, I'll be having a special treat here. It's going to be a little while still, but we'll be making more videos. Go create the reality that you want, everybody. Talk to everyone soon.